Access more.
We got conned with a fake dog that had been dyed brown to be some other breed that it wasn't. Got mange, but we got through it. And that dog is so special now. It's like we all went through it together. She loves
so
us.
You still like the dog? Well, Phil Wickham, thanks for being on Hey It's the Lusko Season 3. You're our first guest on Season 3. Thanks for being with us.
And what an honor to be the first guest. I've been seeing you guys from a distance doing this thing, and it's been helpful, it seems like, to so many people. And so just honored to be counted among all the amazing people you've had.
We're not sure helpful is the way it is. We know it's adding to the white noise of the internet, so at least there's that. But we're having fun for sure, and you mean a lot to us, so it's really a privilege to have you on.
This is fun. We just wish Mallory is here. But that's
I
okay.
always wish that anytime she's not right here.
That will be, that leaves us something to come back for, to have the couples edition. So that'll be / group therapy / we surviving our being parents, and are our kids surviving us? That's the real question.
That sounds like a much more interesting and fruitful interview to have her here than just me. That would be amazing.
Are in the multiple daughter and then son mode. Yep. So there's plenty of that. So, man.
How old is your boy now?
He's 4. And Henry is...
that's how old ours is.
Yeah, 4.
Oh, my gosh.
It pretty much needs to happen that they get together and destroy... Is your son as violent as ours is? I mean, I know you don't have a frame of reference. I haven't
been around your son, but honestly, I think my boy, he's more like a... He can be violent, but I think he responds more to like a good like car chase or video. He loves video games already. We're already trying to like limit the video games. I think he's a little bit more cerebral than other boys that have been around the house, but he's definitely still a boy. That's for sure.
Gotcha.
Well, it's so shocking having 3 girls. You guys have 3 girls and then a little guy. We've had 4 and a little guy. And it's just like, it's so different. Like, how has it been different? How's Henry different than? Oh, first of all, your kids' names are amazing. Penelope, Lottie, and Mabel.
Mabel, yeah.
It's names from a different era for sure.
I know. They're so beautiful.
It's all like our great grandma's names, huh?
I know.
No, it's good. It's like stepping into a time machine.
That probably subliminally, that's what we wanted to do, you know. We love that kind of era and stuff. Mallory and I do, but I think the name Wickham, it just lent itself to Wickham. Just sounds like I think it is a character in a Jane Austen book, Mr. Wickham. You know, it's just got that 1800s Wickham English thing. And so when you put like Mabel Wickham and Penelope Wickham and Lottie Wickham, it just feels right. It feels right. You know?
It feels really right.
They're ready for a spot of
with
tea.
Henry, which is like super, very, very classic. Henry
Wickham. You guys are as British as the day is long. Mallory is not a British name though, is it?
No, Mallory, we were just talking to other friends about this. She pokes fun at herself because I guess Mallory actually means bad luck. Like Mal means bad and Lori means in like Spanish or I'm not sure exactly what.
Isn't lorry a truck in England? Isn't a truck a lorry?
I think you're right.
Bad truck. It's not bad luck. It's bad truck.
So Mallory, and it's funny because Mallory's obviously she's just blessed. She's got the favor of God in her, and in the big things she's so blessed. But it's funny, like the little things, like a bird. If a bird's gonna attack a group of us, it's going to be Mallory. Do you know what I mean? Like she's had birds attack her, or, you know, like the people at Disney dressed up like the villains. They're dressed up like Captain Hook or like that one.
Maleficent.
Yeah. It's like, there'll be like 1,000 people walking around. For some reason, it's a Mallory they zero in on and start messing. And like Captain Hook's like faking chopping off her head and stuff. You know, it's like,
because she's so beautiful.
Like, maybe it has something to do with your name, you know?
Or maybe just it's all guys that are, you know, hitting on her a little bit.
That's what I tell them. Like, you're just super cute.
She is super cute.
Man.
Okay, so the difference between your girls and your boy.
Goodness gracious. I mean, all the immediately the obvious things, which doesn't, obviously all boys and girls are different, but our boy, I mean, even from as soon as he could grab stuff, he just loves cars. Like that was the biggest difference at first, was the toys he just immediately went to. You know, the girls will get him to play dolls and dress up with them once in a while.
Yeah.
But when he just wants to every day I don't think there's a day that goes by when we're at home where he doesn't say, Dad, can we build a car track? And that's what we do most days, which is we take these, those they're like those magnet transparent blocks. I don't know if you guys, they're tiles, magnet tiles.
Yeah.
So he likes to make a giant car track throughout all like the upstairs floor. And then we kind of race around. It's almost like a little Mario Kart. We make our own little Mario Kart situation. But it's just the toys. And then, like he just gets so pumped anytime like he sees like a Marvel trailer or something. It's like the girls like could care less. They're still doing their thing. And like, but it's like during the Olympics, like I forget what it's like the Asian guy. I can't remember what the new Marvel one's coming out, but it's like set in an Asian country or something.
Is it Hawkeye? Is it the Hawkeye?
No, it's not Hawkeye. It's like Legend of the. I don't know. You guys are it's gonna be out by the time I'm talking about this. Everyone's gonna be like, Phil's dumb. Yeah. But it's not Phil's dumb. But he just zeroes in. He just like, Dad, did you just see that? It's just all the typical stuff. But at the same time, a lot of it's the same. Honestly, like just telling him, teaching him to be grateful and to not complain, and picking him up when he gets hurt, and trying to be consistent, showing him what it means to follow Jesus. And a lot of it just falls right in just being a parent and trying my best every day, Okay,
totally. So what's Henry's next oldest sister?
Lottie. So Henry's 4, Lottie's 6, Mabel just turned 8, and Penelope's 9, and she'll be 10 in a month.
Wow. Okay, and you guys have been married 12 years, so you had 3 years just kind of you two figuring stuff out, and then you had a really nice spacing. I mean, that is well played.
Yeah, we hit it right on target most of the time,
All according to plan.
Well, Penelope took a while, and there was that's a whole nother story, just the Lord's faithfulness in it. But there was like Mallory was pregnant for about 2.5, 3 months with a first baby that didn't make it all the way through. And so there's that in there. And then Penelope came, but after that first one, it took about a year for us. And then Penelope, Mabel, Lottie, Henry, all like 22 to 23 months apart, like right on the money, which is crazy. And we're so thankful. We're just talking about it today, how it's just, it becomes, it's a part of life, but we're just so thankful that they're, we have friends that are going to the hospital right now with their kid and trying to figure stuff out, and so thankful for health and wellness, and that we're, all the blessings God has provided.
Do they naturally pair off, like two of them with the other two, or is it like the girls and then your boys are kind of like Dad?
Penelope and Mabel, the two oldest, they're like best friends. Like and they get along really well. They hardly ever fight or argue. They're they're connected. They're very opposite in a lot of ways. I think that's what helps. They really are kind of almost like a crutch for each other right now. They share a room. And then Lottie and Henry have been playing a lot together lately. Now that Henry's from 3 to 4, maybe this is with your little guy too, but like that 3 to 4 for him, like he was definitely still a little baby boy at 3, it was hard to get through to him, and he was really, really wanted his way all the time. That was probably a big difference too. It's like Henry's just a little more stubborn, he really fights for his way, especially during the 3-year-old time. And so now that he's 4 and he can kind of be a little bit more aware, it's like, oh, if I scream at someone's face, they're not going to want to play with me. He's a little chilling out with that now,
Oh my gosh. Now, what do you guys do for family days? I mean, obviously you're in California. You mentioned Disneyland, you mentioned car track building, but are there things that are like, man, Wickham Day, family Sabbath day or day off? You guys are like, we're just definitely doing this.
Well, we're thankful, and you guys live in an incredibly beautiful place too. We're thankful that where we live, maybe there's 5 really rainy days. You guys know how it is out here, but there's 5 maybe rainy days. Other than that, even on a chilly winter day out here, it's like in the 50s. And on a hot day, it's in the 80s. But most of the time it's 60, 70. And so it's hard not to just want to drive 10 minutes down to the beach and just hang out. I just stay in our neighborhood. We're so thankful that we're in a beach town and got good places to eat and go to the beach or the park. It's almost always a nice day, which I feel like I'm bragging a little bit, but
hey, no, I think you got it.
I think San Diego and San Clemente, both, that whole area kind of consistently win best weather in America. So, I mean, that is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Mallory will try to go on trips together, especially like in years past. I'll be playing in New York and I'll have a day off. And so she'll come out, and it's always fun, those trips, but every time we fly home, we're just like, it's really hard to leave this place, you know, because it's home, and our community's here, and kids are here, and it's just nice. And so we're very thankful. So a family day, man, we got zoo passes, so we'll go to the zoo sometime. But most park, it's like, we have got this old big Sprinter van that we took one of the rows out. So we literally can fit all 6 of our bikes like in the van, you know? Wow. And so we'll just chunk scooters and bikes and like baseball mitts and everything in there, and just head down to the park or the beach. And like, do you guys have DoorDash up there? You know, like, or Uber Eats? Yeah. That's like the lifesaver, you know? Because you don't have to plan anything. You just like Uber Eats in and out to the park. Dang. And it shows up, and you're just like, it feels like luxury. Like, you don't have to pay anything except for $2 for a cheeseburger, you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, that's brilliant. I've never even thought about doing that. Yeah. Now, the zoo, as you guys go, is there a day of the week when it's not as crowded? I remember the one time I went to the San Diego Zoo, it was so insanely crowded, I just couldn't even handle.
Yeah, we don't go in the summer in general is really busy. When did you go? Did you go in the summer?
I can't remember.
You don't remember? Summer and weekends.
It was hot. I remember it being hot and busy, and I was like, I can't even. I'm like 50 people back from the gorillas and just not loving it.
Yeah, if you go during the school year if you show up right when it opens. If you show up right when it opens during the school year on a school day, you can pretty much see everything from like 9. You're out of there before noon, like 2.5 hours. You've walked the whole place. It's pretty not empty, but you definitely haven't had to wait in line for anything. Wow. So that would be probably the trip. February, January on a Tuesday morning. Now you mentioned
Super 73, or you mentioned the bikes. Is that the Super 73s? Are you still rocking those things?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I just posted about it yesterday. Actually, I took my little boy out. He sits right in front of me on the big saddle. But you turned me onto those things. I saw that picture of you just rocking yours. I was like, what is that? Yeah, and it turns out it's right down here in Tustin.
Oh my gosh.
Gratuitous plug to the best bicycle company I've found. I have lots of road bike, riding in my past, but once I got a Super 73, everyone's like, do you ride your road bike? I'm like when I say road bike, I mean like a Lance Armstrong Tour de France, like road bike. Not a motorcycle, but the Super 73. You did the whole
thing, right?
I did.
You like spandex and the whole thing.
I did, and then I got a bike with a motor, and pretty much that's the only thing I want to ever be on, because why would you want to actually have to sweat when you could, So, and Mal has one too, right? Do you guys do date nights on them?
We got 2. I tried to make it happen, and she's just like, let's just take the car, because we're about 2 miles, maybe 2.5 miles away from actually like being in town, and so that's like always like, okay, it's going to take 12 minutes to actually kind of be in a fun place to ride this bike. Let's just take the car, but I'll take it out for sure. And the kids love hopping on it with me. I just, like yesterday I took Henry. I'm not sure if this is legal in California, but I put him right in front of me, I guess because it's a bicycle.
Does he have a helmet on?
Legal. Yeah, he has a helmet on.
Yeah, it's the same as riding on a bicycle. Legs,
and he's sitting right there on the saddle.
No, I do the same with Lennox. Yeah.
Yeah. We go to the park and then go to the coffee shop. And
that's fun. Great. I don't have like the authority, but I think that I'd say that's.
I don't have the authority. It's bicycle rules. So, and if he's a helmet on, what's the problem?
Yeah.
Right. It's more safe than he was riding his own bike.
The thing about it, if no one listening has ridden an electric bike, is it's and especially, and I would say like an electric bike is a category, but then like Super 73s, it's just a different category of fun. The way they take off, I mean, these things go, and I'm sure you're not doing this because I would not do it with Lennox either, but they go like 30 miles an hour. I mean, you are cooking, and the acceleration is... It's hard to describe the joy it brings you every single time you push that throttle and off you go.
It's so fun, man. Especially living on a hill. Just to hop on a bike and go get the mail and go get a coffee, then come home. Yeah. It's just something. There's something fun. I mean, it's so cool.
Have you ever been out and like accidentally bought stuff and then realized, oh crap, I'm on the bike and now I'm going to get this home?
No. I think through it. I bring a backpack or something.
I think through it. You're a genius. I have multiple times been out and like been like, oh, yikes. Okay. And then like the awkward ride home with it like between my knees,
Wow.
Yeah. Right.
I'm talking about yesterday.
Done that on a normal bike. We used to live by a Trader Joe's, and I remember like, I'm going to go shopping on my bike. I don't know what I was thinking. I bought like a cart full of groceries, and I was on a pedal bike, and I got out. I had 5 bags with me. I was like, and maybe it's because of that I think through it from now on.
Oh, you learned the hard way.
So So you put all the bags on the handlebars, and it was definitely a mess, but I made it home.
The big clutch move though is that you live so close. Because have you ever had any problems with your bikes and had to get it serviced by them?
I haven't, not yet, no.
And because I've gone through a couple of them now, and I had one that a motor went out and just.
That was like the first.
It was V2. It was one of the ones kickstarted. So I mean, I've been with this company with them. I'm pretending I work for them. I've been a fan of this company forever. First one I kickstarted, and then but I had a motor go out, and they're like, okay, can you send us the tire, the controller, the throttle? And it's like, by the time I got it all in a box, I mean, it must have been $180 to ship this, because it's so much. So you can just cruise up there to the headquarters. That's nice.
Do you ride yours pretty hard? I picture you like going up into the mountains with yours.
I don't go into the mountains, but I would say I do ride it hard. I'll ride it on dirt and gravel and like old road, like logging roads and stuff like that.
Maybe that's why I like paved road. I go for like 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back. So I probably have only put 70 miles on mine.
Oh, there was a time when you would literally ride yours to church.
Oh, I've ridden. Oh, so yeah, I live about 15 miles from the building I'm sitting in now, and I'll ride here. I just have to have the charger in my backpack because it has to charge up. Because going back home, the elevation change, it burns through that.
I bet it goes fast.
Oh, it's fabulous. And then,
all right, I have a question for you. Actually, I was just talking about you and Fresh Life up there because I just went fly fishing for the first time.
Ooh.
Do you go fly fishing up there in Montana?
Yes.
Does Levi Lusko
every
go
chance
fly
I get since the pandemic. So I never fly fished except for when someone would come into town who wanted to do it, I would go with them and oblige them.
Right.
But now in the pandemic, I picked it up and I've gotten quite interested in it. I would even describe myself, Phil, as an avid fly fisherman.
Nice.
Well, the fact that he's actually listening to podcasts about fly fishing.
Embarrassingly so, yes.
Come on. Well, I just went for the first time. Me and the family went up to Hume Lake, that Christian camp up there in the Sierra Nevadas. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah. Heard of
the
it.
Kids had a blast up there. But then we got taken out with a guide to go to Kings Canyon River, and it was just us out in the river, and we went fly fishing. And man, I can't think of many things I've done once where I've just thought I wanted as many times I can do this. And not surfing, not even electric, like I loved it. Yeah. And I've only been once. But then me and my buddy, my brother-in-law who was with me, we're trying to think of people that live in fly fishing country. I'm like, oh, my bro, Levi Lusko, maybe he like it. So all that being said, I'm asking you live over this podcast, if you will please invite me up to the church. I will serve at any capacity.
Yeah.
And then we just fly fish in return.
Look, we will get this. We will find a day, put it on the calendar. I was speaking of you being at the church, I was just playing tennis with a friend today, and he was like, you remember that Phil Wickham concert? Like out of nowhere. I can't even remember what year you played at Fresh Life last. It would have been like
years ago.
2009. You came. I think you came twice. 9 and maybe 14 or 13.
Well, it was the year that you broke your femur.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up.
And then after that, too, because I think that was the first time. And then the second time was like a couple of years later.
I did break my femur the day after you played your first concert at Fresh Life Church. That's right. And then
I remember
the next time would have been 13 or 14. But he was like, I remember standing up in the balcony at the Strand, the building you were playing in, and just hearing your voice and wondering, how can any man's voice be capable of such things? Like he was just like, of course, all of us who have heard your voice are like, holy geez, that just the range God has given you is just unbelievable. And the gift on your life, obviously incredible. So yes, to fly fishing. Tell me what you liked about it.
Man, first of all, where we were at was pretty spectacular. So that's one thing. I love being out in nature. That's where, out of all places, if I'm having a tough time, just taking a walk with Jesus in a beautiful situation, remembering his goodness and his power and all that. So the nature was amazing, which I know exists in large quantities where you're at. And then, but I don't know. It was something about the river running, and I've been fishing before, which I enjoy. But I think the big thing I loved about it was I wasn't like sitting there waiting for something to come my way. But fly fishing is this constant like moving, and you're trying to like kind of be smarter than the fish, guessing where it might be. Try it a few times, move up river. Try it a few times, move up river. And then we're with this guide who's he's doing the whole thing, checking under rocks to see what kind of bugs the fish are eating right then, that whole thing. And then he's like reformatting his flies and a little bait to like look a little bit more like those bugs and flying them out. And And I caught like 7 that day, which I'm a horrible fisherman in general. So even catching more than one was like, oh, wow. This is
7's a lot of fish. Good. Now, were you wading or were you in a drift boat?
We were wading. And I think that was part of it too. And there's moments where because the river had like, the bends in the river, there's moments where there's no one to be seen, no car to be heard. I think that was just the whole thing about like just being out in the river. It's like cold, but not too cold, and catching fish that we're going to eat later that night. But the fact that it's like,
did you clean them yourself?
I co-cleaned. I'm a pretty virgin fish cleaner, but I tried my best.
Wow, that's impressive.
You were on the committee that approved the cleaner of the fish.
Something I never want to do.
Yeah, I do catch and release. I don't want to clean a fish.
Yeah, I didn't mind it that much. It's something about the whole experience. Just is like, man, I want this to be more part of my life.
What kind of fish were you catching?
It was just trout. Yeah, mostly rainbow trout.
Yeah, and then
I think we caught one brown.
Oh, that's a fun fish to catch. Was it big?
No, none of them were that big. I mean, they're probably 8 to 12 inches. Is that big? That's probably small,
that's a good size fish. That's decent. Yeah. And then were you on dry flies? Were they on top of the water? Or were you fishing like down in?
On top and bottom. There's the top and the bottom. So is that
a dry fly on top and like a nymph down below it?
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Did you ever get some pretty good tangles? Because a setup like that can get real tangled. That might have
been why I absolutely love this, because we had like the premier fly fishing guide of all of Kings Canyon National Park happened to be involved with this camp. And then they asked if he'd take us out, and he didn't even have, he brought 2 poles for each of us. And he had like 6 fanny packs draped across his torso of just all gear. Like, even like, I'd be like, I wonder when dinner is. He'd be like, you want some trail mix? He pulled it out of one fanny pack.
You want some trail mix out of one of his 6 fanny packs?
Like, he was so ready. He's like, here's some water, stay hydrated. And maybe that was why, because it's like, we were getting some amazing treatment from this. He was just pumped,
So if you had a bad tangle, he would just hand you a new rod while he sorted it out?
Yes. So I know that's probably a part of why it was so amazing. But like literally he'd be like, Phil, do you see that foam right there? I'm like, that foam right there? He's like, no. About a yard further. I'm like, yeah. He's like, if you get it. And he'd be literally, if you get it right there, I promise you'll catch a fish. I'm like, I'm probably not going to catch fish, bro. He's like, no, get it right. So I did it. He's like, too close. I did it again too far, and like I did it again, and he's like, "Oh, perfect cast right there! Don't move, follow it." And he literally counted down. He was like 3, 2, 1, and it was like, and I promise you.
How did that feel?
Like,
where did you feel that in your body when that fish hit that fly? Where did you feel it?
In my little tum. I think I felt it.
Yeah,
right in my gut.
Yeah,
I felt it. Whoa, and then you pull. It's not huge, so it's pretty easy to pull in. But even the fact that you're not reeling, you're doing a tug of war with the fish.
So you were strip setting, like pulling the line in that way?
Yeah. Everything about it I like regular fishing because it's just fun and you get to hang out, see trees and stuff. But fly fishing, I think it's just because it was so active and you feel like it's more a part of it. Did you go home and like buy a rod and just start going nuts on it? I did the thing where you're on the way home, or later that night, like at the camp, me and Bryce, my brother-in-law, we literally saved everything in our Amazon carts, but I never actually bought it, because I'm like, am I actually going to use this stuff? And will Levi actually want to hang out with me again?
100%. So it's all saved in your cart still for later.
Yes.
The good thing is if you go out with guides, they have gear for you. So you don't ever technically have to do it unless you think there's going to come a day when you're just going to go out and do it all by yourself.
Yes. So I can't. He said there's a lot of fly fishers out here that are on the beach, which that surprised me. Have you seen guys fly fishing ocean?
Get lots and lots, but I've never heard of it from like a Southern California beach. I mean, I know like guys down in the Bahamas are bone fishing, and in the Keys, they're they go tarpon fishing or for sharks on dry flies and stuff like that, which I've never done, but I know people who do it. But I've never heard of just go down to the Carlsbad Beach and start catching, fish with a fly rod.
He says he knows guys in Oceanside that'll fish off the pier and catch barracuda, which I was like, bro, you pulling my leg, dude?
Well, you should probably do that because that just sounds like a really great time. And the thing that I love about it, because everything you're describing is just so beautiful, is the way that it is impossible. So if I'm putting myself in Phil Wickham's shoes, it's impossible to be thinking about rankings on a Spotify list or a Apple Music sales or a song you're working on in a bad way, meaning straining. Like I find you can't worry about a sermon or attendance or this. You just lose yourself in focusing on hitting that piece of foam. And so there's a sense in which it's so therapeutic.
Yes. I would say what you just said was a huge part of what I loved it. And I didn't even realize it until you just said that. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, that's amazing. That's probably a huge part, you know, because I guess because there's a lot of stuff I think I try for that to achieve that in my life, but it's so tough to do it. Like surfing, I've surfed so many times in my life and I still it's not like the most fun thing in the world to me still. It's like a lot of work, you know, getting out and waxing the board and putting the wetsuit on and then like working out or whatever, going for a run. That's like, I guess kind of therapeutic, but it's like at the end you're spent. So maybe this was just like, whoa, it was fun. It happened. Like the goal was achieved, but it was completely other than my normal world.
Right.
And you walked into it. You didn't plan it, and it just kind of happened to you, and that's the best. I think that guys end up either doing golfing or fishing. It tends to be, and I kind of like knew deep down, if I'm going to be a pastor, I'm going to end up fishing or playing golf. And I think I chose the lesser of two evils, quite frankly. You know, so I don't know. Have you ever golfed?
Just like driving range stuff and what's it called? Like
Top golf.
Top golf.
Now that I'll go Top golf all day long.
That's so fun.
They're bringing food to you right there. I don't even have to play golf. It's just I'll go.
Golf is such. I mean, fishing is tough. There's a lot you can, but you can kind of start small. You know, I think golfing, like it's hard. I mean, do you golf at all?
You can't
Not
really.
At all.
You can't really start small with golf.
I actively don't golf. It's like a life decision I made a long time ago.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Miniature golf.
Yeah, we love them. We love a little putt-putt. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
Get through the castle right there. If you get a hole-in-one on the 18th hole, you get a free Huckleberry milkshake. It's wonderful.
I love it. Yeah, I'm all into the mini golf. But yeah, full-on golf, I'm too late on the game for that.
So you mentioned running. Is running like an active part? Is that how you stay in shape? I've always noticed you're in great shape. You've taken care of, yourself physically over the years.
Yeah, I do really. I actually have. I mentioned it as like a negative thing, but I do really I've come to love hate running, I should say. I mean, obviously it's running. Like, can you really love it that much?
I don't know.
But I do, I've now, like all my podcasts, all my Bible studies that I listen to, books on tape, new worship music.
You're a child of the 80s. You're definitely a child of the 80s because you just said books on tape.
Tape cassette.
Which is how I describe it too. Yeah.
That's so good.
Running around with your cassette player.
I love my books on tape. I just love them.
I get them from the library. You got to rewind them before you return them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's where I get a lot of thinking done when I'm running, because once you get to a place, your legs just keep going and you're not like dying, And
I've never gotten to that place. In any run I've ever done, I've never got to the place of not dying, and my legs just take me, and I magically am there. Yeah.
It took a while, but I really do enjoy it now.
Was there a tipping point? Like, okay, once I got to where I could run 5 miles, 7 miles, what was the point where you're like, my legs took over?
I do remember, I don't remember exactly when, but there was a year where it went from like, gosh, I should probably work out because like I like eating a lot,
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, might as well go for a run. And then I think because once I started traveling a lot on the road and being on tours, the buses would stop. And it was just so tough to get into. It's like, okay, where's the gym? Is it close? And like,
wow, yeah,
you gotta get. It's $20 at this gym to use it for 45 minutes. Like, I don't want to do that. Find an Uber, all that. So I think it was really being on buses and I would end up really enjoying it because I'd roll into a city maybe I've been to 3 or 4 times, but I only really knew the airport and a couple coffee shops in town and the venue. And so to be able to run around a city like Milwaukee or Chicago or,
cool.
Anywhere, you're like, oh, you just on foot, you guys know it. On foot, a city just becomes a whole different thing.
Right.
And so I think that was a part of me falling in love with running because I got to see these cities and these towns in different ways.
Wow.
And then, And then someone said, hey, let's sign up for a 10K. They do this Thanksgiving 10K out here where I live called the Turkey Trot. I think a lot of people do it in different places of the country. So then I actually like tried to become a better runner that 3 or 4 months. And I think that's probably when I actually I kind of caught the bug and I was going for it. And I think I got like, man, I don't want to exaggerate, maybe 24th out of about 2,000 people.
24th.
No way. That's amazing.
I did it. I just felt great that day. And there was a guy in front of me. He looked ex-military. And he had an amputated leg or foot. And like Olympians wear them sometimes. They're like, look like almost like hockey sticks. They wear his feet to run on. Yeah. But he had it and he was right in front of me. He was going so fast.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking like, man, if he can do this, then I'm just going to stay right in front of him. And it killed me. I think that's why I just stuck with him because he was so inspiring to me.
Wow. That's beautiful.
And then we took a picture together at the end. I'm like, bro, you inspired me.
You were my little, like, what are the greyhounds chasing? The little bunny rabbit. That's
the bunny, the little mechanical bunny around the track.
He was your mechanical bunny.
Does Mal run with you?
He was. What's that?
Does Mal run with you? Or does she run?
No, not with me. No. She does. That. We have, we created a little COVID gym on our balcony this last year. We kind of did the math. We're like, hey, we pay this much to the YMCA and then this much to that gym. It's like, if we just don't do this for a year, we could buy a treadmill. And
that's awesome.
And so we got a treadmill out on the balcony and she gets on that,
Does it have rain protection? I know you get 3 days of rain per decade.
It's like an open air covered balcony.
Oh, nice.
Off our like stairs. I don't even know the landing at the stairs, but so it's covered. It gets a little rusty. We have to scrub the rust off from the salt air, salt water in the air, but it stays good. We've had it for a year. So
do you have awesome. Do you have like weights too out there, or is it just the treadmill?
A few. I bought just a few little, there's like a barbell and a couple weights we'll throw around sometimes.
Oh my gosh. But no running together, like you two in the sunset. Cause then you have to get a babysitter.
We used to, earlier on in our marriage, we would take like the stroller out we would just have Penelope and we had a 3-mile kind of little loop around our house that we would do. But I think the impact of running isn't super comfortable for her, but on the treadmill, it's nice.
Yeah, it's better on the treadmill.
Now, what kind of running shoes do you wear? Do you wear like real overbuilt ones, or do you wear the Vibram shoes with fingers?
No, I've tried other shoes. I've been in the Nike Pegasus I think they're on like 38 now, and so I've been on them since the 34s, 32. So like my last 5 pairs of shoes were Nike Pegasus, which I guess aren't like the most incredible. So a lot of people that are legit runners are like, oh, those are just for like halfway runners,
Ooh, halfway runners.
10K. It's just the 10K runners.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's fine. I got a really fat, wide foot. I'm like, my mom always called me Fred Flintstone feet because they're like so fat and wide,
like
and flat. Yeah. And so maybe they're good for that kind of foot. I don't know.
Like we've had to level up Lennox's shoe size, not because of length, like his toes have a long way to go, but just so we can shove that foot into the shoe. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So
he just got little burritos down there.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Linya was the same way. Now, did you have to do a lot of work on like running form? How your heels, don't strike or all that sort of thing?
I'm sure if any runner saw me run, they'd have like 100 things to say I'm not doing right. I should probably learn how to do it better, or learn, see if I'm doing it okay. But
it's working.
Yeah,
for you.
I'm definitely not like a. Yeah.
Well,
there's at
least 1,974 runners or 76 runners who have seen you from the back at the Turkey Trot.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
They can say what they want about your form.
Did you do that math?
I was just working on it over here.
That's really good,
quietly.
We just found the Marvel Avengers movie is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay,
For your reference and anyone listening who knew what we were talking about.
Kind of Far Eastern sound to it, right? Little Asian vibe.
Absolutely. Speaking of Mallory, what do you guys like to do on date nights? I mean, you guys have been married a dozen years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are some things that have helped you guys with your rhythm?
Man, just we love food. We love we love cooking together and planning. That's like a big part of where we connect. Just like, even we don't always like sit down and plan every week together, but even that's something we will do on occasion, is like, what do we want for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Just because it's fun, not because it has to happen, because it does have to happen, but we love thinking through, oh yeah, we could use the leftovers for that night, for the next morning. It's like a thing we connect on. We both enjoy cooking. And
that's awesome.
And so we also enjoy trying out new places. There's always new places popping up around San Diego. And we found, there's one that just opened up this last year right here in Encinitas where we live. That's like, we're so happy. We finally have a restaurant that we're really proud of taking. Like when friends come to town, it's like, you got to try this place. It's called Waverly. And it's really small. It's like, you got to make sure you get a table early enough.
Is there reservations or do you have to like just get there? Yeah,
you have to, it's reservations. And it's hard to even get a table bigger than, you have to like call, like, honestly, I'm like, it's a gross, but I've one time we couldn't get a table there and we had some friends in town coming in, like, and this was like in 2 weeks. And so Mallory's like, hey, like you should Instagram them. I'm like, well, what difference does that make? She's like, well, you have the blue check mark, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, Mallory.
Use your check.
I can't use it for evil and not for good. Yeah.
She's like, just try, just see. And I was like, okay. I was like, hey, Waverly, like, we love your place. And then like literally 20 minutes later, it's like, yeah, we got a table for you. I'm like, oh, I feel gross right now.
I feel gross right now. I need to take a shower.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think worse things have been done. I think you're going to be okay.
I hope so. I would imagine.
Well, now here you are mentioning Waverly.
Yeah, what about you guys?
There's people going to hear this and go there probably. And now you're going to have an even harder time getting a table. So
there you go.
I was going to say too, also a good British sounding name, Waverly. It's like a station in London, isn't it?
Waverly Station.
Probably. The Waverly.
The Waverly.
Yeah.
That's a good British accent. Though. You have a good British accent.
And, only not on command. Oh, I guess I just did it on command. But like, if you asked me to do it now, I would sound totally different.
You've spent a lot of time in England, though, right?
Yeah.
I get stage fright. Phil Wickham gets stage fright, everybody.
You've heard it here. Stage fright. I was in England at least once a year up till 2020, doing something, whether they have a really great festival out there called Big Church Day Out.
Creation, right? Oh, it used to be called
There's Creation. That was through the Calvary Chapel connection. But then Big Church Day Out was started by a guy named Tim Jupp, who was the keyboardist in my once favorite band. I still love them.
Delirious. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they've started a promotion company and on this festival. But the festival's amazing. It's like there's this huge, it's literally like Downton Abbey vibes, this property in this house. Wow. And this family owns it, and they like rent it out to like heads of state during the year, and the UN uses it for like talks and stuff. But then two weeks a year, this family gets to use it for themselves, and then 1 week a year, the family gives it to this festival because they love the idea of just like tens of thousands of people worshiping on their land.
Wow!
And so it feels like Braveheart, like flags are flying. Oh, there's this like house castle in the back that all the artists get to stay in, which is amazing. It's just like, it's the best. My favorite festival in the world.
They do take their festivals very seriously in England, and it's like a big camping thing and a time away, and they do like that. You know, you're gonna have to go. I've never done it, but the fly fishing is legendary in England. You know, for brown trout, and that's where it all kind of emerged, and a lot of the traditions and all the things all kind of emerged from there. But you have to like hire the land the creek's on from the estate owner, and then get permission. And then apparently on a lot of the creeks and streams, they have little houses where like you take a break and have tea, and they'll serve you, like a boiled egg. And it's really fun. There's a lot of tradition, I guess, the direction you can fish and, what you can throw. You can't use streamers and nymphs or anything like that. It's all dry flies, and, it's very posh, but that's where of course, coming from England, that would be how it is.
Yes. Very taken so seriously. Mm-hmm. It's like, everything that they're into is like, it's just serious. It's like, this is serious business right now.
Yeah, like you watch the Australian Open and it's all rowdy and kind of wild. The U.S. Open, same way. But then you watch Wimbledon, and it's just like they're on grass and it's all like very buttoned up and they're all wearing white. You got to like that. You got to appreciate a country that knows what they're about.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. They know what they're about. They know what they do. They're proud of their traditions. Yeah. I really love going to the UK. Honestly, some of my most formative, like single moments of God speaking have been over there in different ways. Maybe it's just because I'm just out of my element or whatever, but God really speaking his calling into my life I remember I was out there you mentioned Creation. I was out there when I was 20, maybe even earlier, 19, with this band that me and some friends had started called Fairchild. And that was like the dream. It's like, yeah, I'm a worship leader, but I'm going to be in Fairchild. We're going to be the next U2 or whatever. And so anyways, it started raining on the festival. And right before we were supposed to go on, so they had to move everybody into this tent on the side. And it was like just pandemonium, kind of fun, kind of crazy, mud everywhere. It's night. So it's like the sun has gone down and they're running on generators. And so they turn the lights on in the tent and it's just packed with people, way more than supposed to be in there. They finally get the PA going in the tent. They have like a mic and a cord ready to go for guitar just to get something going before they get the whole PA up. And so someone like shows like, hey, Phil, get up there and start singing some songs. Like, okay. So go up there, I sing a few of these band songs and it's just crazy. No one cares. I sing a worship song, crazy. No one cares. And so I'm like, I look over to the guy, he's like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And then the generator goes out and the lights go off and the sound goes out, and then it gets quiet in the tent. And so I step to the end of the stage and I start singing, I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you. And everybody, I don't know if everybody, but it felt like everybody joined in this like cry out on this field, just like so loud. And I was just really floored by the sound, but also just so immediately aware of God's presence in that place. And it kind of took my breath away. I had to stop singing and just listening and letting that moment flow over me. And then at the very end, let it be sweet sound in your ear. The power all came back on.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my god!
And it was like perfect. It was like a movie. and then we just had this like hour-long worship session. And the whole time, I would say for the last 8 months, I've been feeling this growing anxiety, this pull and this terror about where I should be, what God had for me, and what was me and what was God and God's calling for my life. And as I was sitting there singing these simple worship songs with a bunch of people is the moment I feel like I can say God really called me into a calling as a worship leader. Cause I just felt like the whole time wasn't like, no, I call you as a worship leader, Phil. It was just, as I was just absolutely enjoying the beauty of the moment and leading that moment, I felt like God was just saying, see, like you've been struggling and pushing and pride and stuff has gotten in the way of you really seeing your own heart and what I've given you to do. Just see. And I'm just like, I see, I see, yes. And so that was the moment in my life where I'm just like, that's what I'm going to do.
Yes. Yes, Lord. Wow. Jeez. That's amazing.
So you have that ingredient, the divine call. And then of course you have a lot of natural born talent. You have an incredible voice and ability, but then there's also work too, and so it's like obviously the supernatural side, the gift side, but then you have a reputation for work ethic. I was just talking to a friend who had just recently done some co-writing with you. And I was like, how is it working with Phil? I've known him forever. And he's like, that guy is a machine. He just works. He shows up. He's ready to work. He's not going to sit around the piano and wait to feel inspired. He said you from the hammer drop. You were just, we're here to get something done. So what part would you say, how of that work ethic came from your parents, from your own hustle? Like where does that come from?
I don't know, because when I've heard people say that here and there about me too, once in a while, not all the time, but I'll get that drift once in a while. I was like, whoa, like you do this so much, or you spent so much time. And for me, maybe there's some stuff that feels like work, there's getting up early for the flights and there's lots of, and the other 100 things that are like that, right. But creating new music, I'm like writing songs, especially with guys I respect. And I know they have a deep well to add. Like, I know it's not, sometimes I feel like I'm in a situation like, oh, like I'm going to push this situation along and hopefully we get some good. And other times it's like, wow, like I can't wait to learn from you, and those are all beautiful moments. But in those moments where it's like, we're all on the same page, and there's like not this no one has any insecurities in them. It's just like, we're here to create something hopefully that's going to bless the Lord's heart and bless people. Yeah. That's just like, it's the most fun. Like, there's nothing more fun in work to me. Like, I guess I'm trying to think of the way to say it. You can say it better. You're the wordsmith, Levi. But like, as far as it falling under the banner of work, it's like all I'd want to do all day. Yeah. You know what I mean? To write songs and come up with new melodies and try to have that there's like the moments where you break through the ceiling of like, we got to something, you know, so it just feels so special and God's in it. And we pushed and pushed. Remember that moment we thought it was just a bad song. Remember that moment we were going to give up, like, but now look what this is. And then 2 months later, it's like, dude, I led it at church and it worked. And like, yeah, just like the whole victory of that is so I mean, I hesitate to say drug because that's such a negative connotation, but it's so life-giving and satisfying.
Yeah.
Maybe it's what drugs were meant to be. You know what I mean? What drugs are mimicking, like what's possible, the experience, the euphoria, the joy that we are capable of experiencing from something like that. Maybe that's what drugs are trying to, you know, mimic, right?
I like that. I like that idea. So maybe a lot of times people see it as work, but when I came in, I feel like I'm so ready. I just am so excited to write songs and hang out with guys and get something that's going to be impactful and hopefully, and try to unearth something that's going to move people's hearts to a place of freedom and a place of worship. It's just so exciting to me. It's so fun.
It's not gotten old. That new, it's still, you can sense it in your voice and see it in your eyes for those who are watching. I mean, there's that giddiness. I think that's a beautiful thing, like cultivating and protecting and cherishing that sense of like childlike enthusiasm.
Wonder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and maybe if I even think like traveling and even being on stage and leading, those are the parts that feel more like work to me, you know, leaving the house, getting on a plane, getting on a bus,
kissing your kids goodbye.
Yeah. Kissing kids goodbye, singing, even being on stage, sing. I mean, those are beautiful moments. And I'm so thankful that God uses me to facilitate moments where people can remember him and hopefully encounter his truth and bless and goodness and grace. But that's like I get off stages really spent. Like it's joy giving to me, but it's not like life giving, energy giving.
That being said, you leave it all out there though. I mean, I've watched you perform a long time. We've been friends I was trying to remember today when we would have met, but I mean, we've been friends for probably pushing 20 years now. You know,
since a long time. I was just out at Calvary Albuquerque and I was remembering that side room that we did like a youth conference thing.
We did a youth conference there. You were the very first artist at the O2, second artist we ever had at the O2 experience, our Sex and Purity event we were doing in California. I remember I went to Bible college. You went to Bible college right after that, I think we might have met when I was a student, but you were just hanging out there one day.
Yeah, I was just a weird guy that would go hang out. I actually never went there.
Okay, that's right.
All my friends went there, so I would go and hang out. But
so that would have been when I was 19. So that is when we first met, because I very distinctly remember meeting you there. You probably didn't remember me, but I remembered you. It's fine. But what I was trying to say was, you know, in these 20 years that we've known each other, where was I going with that? You were talking about the work. Oh, you leave it all out there.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not just on stage. We're going to do some songs. I've seen you play a lot for a lot of people, less people. I mean, I've seen you play for a very lot of people, but every nerve, you enlist every ounce of your being. I mean, you are putting it out there. I just last night pulled up a YouTube video where you were out on stage with Bethel, with Brian and Jen Johnson. And I mean, you're just, from the second you were on there, you are putting it all out there. So no wonder you leave depleted, you know? Mm-hmm. You're not phoning it in.
Yeah.
I try and I hope I don't, you know? I guess it's always been something I've always liked to do well, you know? I don't know if that's a very simple way to put it, but I've always liked to it's just kind of always been part of what I do.
Is there a way that helps you turn that on though? Like backstage, when, like, let's say you're wiped and jet lagged and you're not, you know, going through it and you're not feeling it. Like, do you have like a pre-programmed routine? I mean, obviously there's prayers, you know, what do you do to pump yourself up?
I don't know if I would say pumping myself up as much as like, I think it's just more of it's a mental thing for me, like more of like understanding that there's a duty and a responsibility in that moment, you know, that it's been instilled in me as a young kid to just never take lightly the moments that God allows me to be in front of his people, his bride, his most cherished thing, you know, his his family, that God would give me bits and pieces, moments, hours here, hours there, 30 minutes there of his bride's attention. And so to ever squander that time or treat it as if it's just another thing, just another piece of the work pie, or not hold it as, try to see it in a way that he sees it, in this precious, amazing thing where I have a chance to point people to Jesus. I have a chance to, like, in this moment, like, the TV's not on, hopefully the phone's not
up. Oh, the phones are on and usually recording the whole set.
Yeah. Right.
I just want to know, are people watching these cell phone videos back at these events? Because there's much higher quality recordings available. It's what you work so hard out. That's why you have that microphone. I just have never understood that I go to a show and I'm going to record the entire thing on my phone. Where are these 60-minute long files residing in people's lives? I'm just sorry. Same people who record the whole experience riding Thunder Mountain. I'm like, are you really going to watch that back?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, that was a rant. That was a rant.
No,
Phil.
but I get it. I get
rant.
it. So, and I'm rambling. All that being said, so I just take it really seriously, and I just know that the opportunities aren't going to be forever. Whether there's opportunities to sing out in faith to proclaim Jesus is not going to be forever. Whether I do it till I'm dead, then we're still not going to be able to sing out in faith. In heaven, it's a different kind of sing. It's a sing out in complete knowledge and complete vision. You know what I mean? Like, and so I just want to be so responsible with those moments. And so I don't know. It's
That's
just
good.
Like, it's time to do it.
It sounds like you cultivate a healthy fear of being cavalier about it, which is good.
And there's that sense of you take what God's called you to seriously, but you don't take yourself seriously. And I think that's a special anointing that God's given you, and even just your humble spirit and your willingness to, even just that perspective of time spent with Jesus's bride. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard that before, but that's so beautiful. And I think that is the kind of heart that God can bless and God can use and wants to use, the kind of person who's like, God, whatever it is, yes, and send me, and here I am, but not the kind of person who is making much of yourself, but you're just, I'm here, God, I'm here to serve. And I think that that's something that ever since I first met you was something that caught my eye of, wow, he just wants to serve Jesus with his life. And it's been so cool over the years to see how God has amplified your voice and how God has brought you to all these different spaces and places to bless his bride and to encourage his bride. And it's so beautiful to see. So we're always encouraged by you and what God's doing through you.
Thank you so much. So I receive all that and be so blessed by all that. Thank you. Gosh.
No, but it also sounds to me like you're saying that you somewhat have transitioned, because I mean, you obviously the industry label on you would, you mentioned spiritual calling to worship leader, but you're also singer songwriter. But it sounds like you're saying from a joy perspective, it's almost a little bit backwards, that you're now also more of a songwriter who sings.
Maybe that's where, as it's transitioning, and maybe it's coming also too, as as I've gotten in the room with more and more people that have been doing it longer than me and have different kinds of tools in their toolbox of how to get this is the same end, but different means to get to the end of a good song, and what constitutes a good song, and where there's all those things that you just, when you write with good writers, it challenges you on the things you thought you knew how to do, and so that part is probably, I wasn't writing that many songs, but I was leading a lot from when I was 13 to 21, and so I was cultivating that from a very early age. But then I really started loving songwriting later in my 20s, and so maybe now that's become a part of what I do, and I've just realized maybe it is shifting a little bit to this place of like, if all I had to do was write songs and then maybe like lead at the church once in a while, then I'd be a happy man.
You could see a day where that's more the primary, and then not as much the tours, or is there always some part of you that feels that pull?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be some part of me that feels the pull to be in moments where I can lead these, not just my songs, but it's really, really sweet to lead songs that you've been a part of, that God has given you, and you've been a part of the seeds, and when they came to life, to see those working and being a part of facilitating the moment where they are working in a live setting. The whole thing is really special to see and to be a part of. But yeah, more than ever, I could see that being like the once a month thing. And then, I mean, if it ever worked out for that to be the case, for me to like write and hang out with friends and make music together, and then 1 week in a month pop out to a conference or a Fresh Life Church or something.
Do you think that it keeps you, that the songs you're writing are better, that the time on the road, that seeing different rooms react to songs, do you think that's in some way keeps what you're doing in the writer's room more, I don't know, honest is not what I'm trying to say, but
yeah, I would say they both play off each other. And a lot of songs, especially the beginnings of songs that I'll end up recording, and a lot of them start on the road, whether it's in a sound check or in a spontaneous moment during a worship night. So they do go kind of hand in hand, you know, quite a few songs, or even like with other artists when we're in this green room together. It's just funny, like the little moment like that. There's a song, it might've been the one you saw with me and Brian wrote, called God of Revival. It might've been that video you're talking about, but that song was me and Brian were at a conference, worship conference together or something. And he was sound checking right as I was finishing sound checking. And he's like, bro, I had this new melody just now. And he sang it to me. I was like, and so I kind of went, God of revival. He said, bro, it was a revival, you know? And just in that little moment, wow. If our two lives didn't connect in that moment with that little space, that song never existed. And then it's gone on to become a prayer for some people and some moments.
Beautiful.
Jeez, yeah, and done well.
Gosh.
Now, there's so many of your songs. I mean, I was thinking back today how much we depended on a lot of your songs to carry us through that difficult season of our daughter going to heaven. Yeah. You know, many of your songs have been an anthem in our homes and in our hearts for many years and seasons and life. But in particular, the Heaven and Earth record and the Cannons record. And so, I mean, your songs have meant a lot to us personally. Yeah. So I did want to thank you publicly for that, just for the way little things that God's tucked in your heart to write and give have blessed us so immensely. Yeah. But then I was also curious, you know, are there songs that you've maybe written on that you'll hear every once in a while and be like, oh my gosh, like pinch me that I got to be a part and participate in that song coming into the world?
There's a few. I still feel that about Living Hope. I just, you know, people don't know, there's a song I wrote. It's the title of my last record. But that just felt like, where in the world did that? It felt like it was one of the few songs I go back and read the lyrics and it's like, I don't remember this happening. You know, I just don't remember it coming out. And it feels like a song that you don't try to write. It just like a moment that God really inspired that time. So that's maybe. I mean, I still absolutely love leading it and singing it. I remember when I was walking outside, texting Brian, because we wrote that song together as well.
I think that was the song I watched you come on stage and sing. Okay. It was like the Victory Tour, and you came out for that song. Yeah. Yeah.
And we had rewritten that the last verse like 4 or 5 times, and it just wasn't special enough. And then we just kept on throwing verses and ideas back and forth. And he threw out something about the Lion of Judah, the roaring lion. And then it just kind of all started falling into place after that. Like Then Came the Morning that sealed the promise. I don't know if you guys know that song, but it's that last verse. And I just remember like when that after like 20 different texts, it finally became, I remember sending the final text that last verse was, and just having just this reading it through after I sent it and like the biggest sigh of like, we got it. And I just remember jumping in front of my house, like, so like, it was like, yes, like, cause it was such a battle getting there. And we find like, it's such a testament, I think, to like, man, don't settle, like for any songwriters out there, any artists making anything, just don't settle for anything less than what you just are so pumped to share with the world, you know? And, and it's so thankful for that one. There's probably other ones too. And I don't know. I think some that have been around a long time. Like there's one called You're Beautiful.
Oh yeah. The Messiah, You're Beautiful medley, that one together is just unreal. Yeah.
And we, that's been around so long. I've sung it so many times that like, I definitely don't have a memory of writing it, you know?
Wow.
And sometimes I forget it's like has become its own thing outside of me. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like now it has its own life, and other people have, you know, and so it's just like I'll sing it and I'll put it on set list. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is my song. Like, that's crazy.
That's funny. It's not Hillsong. It's me.
Yeah, exactly. That's how, like, sometimes I think it's like an old Matt Redman song or something. And I don't know if that makes sense at all.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, it's like, it's something God birthed through you, and to see it kind of have a life of its own and to be sung, and it's like, oh, wow. Like, okay.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Now, when I have, you know, you're to me a high capacity, you know, highly driven, highly successful, but with the right spirit, which is amazing, combination, human being on. I always love to ask about maybe just any routine. Is there any kind of, hey, this is how my morning goes or my daily goes, or when I sit down to work, is there any sort of things I do in order, you know, this way that kind of has helped you to sort of, you know, life hack your way into some of the success that God's blessed you with?
I mean, honestly, my first reaction was like, I came up with kind of like a fake routine in my mind so I could have a routine to tell you. And I'm just going to be honest. Like, I wish I was way more consistent just in all that stuff. I'm consistent. I would say I've got a consistent prayer life, you know?
Okay. So what helps you with that? That's because we all could grow in that area.
Yeah. But I definitely somewhere I could grow, but by consistent, I mean, like, God is talking to him throughout the day has become, I don't want to sound like a saint, cause I have got a lot to grow, but like him being a part of my everyday life, like, oh Lord, help me. When I see someone I know I'm usually annoyed by, it's for me, it's like, Lord, help me be patient in my mind. It's just a part of my life. Like that has started over the last 10 years, become a part of my thought process. Or like when my kids are starting to try my, you know, like, Lord, I don't want to, like, just let me walk in you right now. You know, that's so become a not always reaction, but just over knowing him and being a Christian for a long time. I think hopefully that's kind of slowly seeped into my soul of like leaning into those moments. And then one thing that's really helped me, because honestly, I hate saying this, but being a consistent Bible reader, especially since I've had kids, because they always wake up earlier than me, because it's hard for me to wake up before 5:30. And then, you know,
I think it's hard for most people to wake up before 5:30. Yes. I thought you were going to say before 9 or before, 11.
Like my kids are like, my kids are often up by 6, sometimes 6:30, you know, and at least one of them, one out of 4.
Drug them.
Melatonin, man. It's
a wonderful thing.
Once in a while. Yeah. All natural.
Yes.
So for me, it's like, I think I also grew up. I love the church I grew up in. I think you guys, or at least you did, Levi, the Calvary Church at Calvary Chapel. There's such a heavy sense of like idea of like such the preeminence of the Word of God. Like let that be first and foremost. And I think I'm so thankful for the amount of scripture I know because I grew up in Calvary Chapel. But also without for sure never being told this at Calvary, but I think it created this guilt inside that if I wasn't like writing a commentary every morning on whatever I was reading, that I like, if I didn't have time to do that, then it's just not worth it. I almost had that feeling growing up, you know, and I think that even carried over into adulthood, where that slowly changed, I think it's great to study the Word and all that, but I've found that I need to have like bite-sized pieces to meditate deeply on. And that's how I can find consistency of the scripture. And sometimes I'll be on a plane flight and read through a whole book of the Bible, whatever, but daily, just something I can carry with me through that day to let it be a part of my life. Yes. And I found an amazing way to do that is this thing called Lectio Divina. It's this journal that kind of harkens back to like thousands of years ago.
Desert Fathers.
Probably that kind of thing. But yeah, just like it's like a certain way of like 60 seconds to 3 minutes of silence, becoming aware of God's nearness, reminding yourself that he wants to speak to you, just kind of leads you through this moment. And then it says, read this passage in the scripture. And sometimes it could be a chapter and a half. Other times it could be 2 verses. And then it's like, read it. And then it actually asks you to read it 3 times. And then you read it 3 times, and if you write down any phrases or words or themes or ideas that feels like they're speaking to you in that moment, and then you think a little bit on why those ideas are speaking to you. And then you spend a moment with Jesus. And I've found it helps me. I'm such a visual person. It helps me to, like, I never see his face. And it sounds kind of silly probably to a lot of people, but I have a place I sit in the backyard, and I imagine, I kind of have my eyes open even, and I'm looking down the ground. I imagine Jesus coming and sitting next to me, and I see his sandals down there. I never see his face though. And I just talk to him as if he's there, and try to get rid of the prayer, bless this, bless that stuff that is so easy to go to, but talk to him like, hey, like in the scripture, like this just said this, and I don't know if that's a part of my life, and I really want to be, can you please help, just talk to him like he's listening. And then I've even trying to learn how to listen back, that's its own practice and discipline, but just even following the simple steps, and it takes 10 minutes, and then you get a moment with Jesus and a moment with prayer. And then you write down like that prayer for the day. It just has really helped me have a flow of being with Jesus and hiding something in my heart. And,
that's beautiful. That's so helpful.
I don't know if that's helpful to anybody.
Really, I'm sure everybody listening, it's always so inspiring. I think these days, if I looked up from the sandals, I would probably see the Jesus from The Chosen,
Yeah, that's why I don't look up, because I totally would now.
Yeah, I know.
It would have been Jim Caviezel 10 years ago. Now it's The Chosen Jesus there.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Phil, we want to get you on your way because of your commitments and time. We're so grateful you come on. I did want to give you one quick chance to tell us the 2020 pet story, because we asked for prompts, and that was one you turned in. So we do have to, before we part, just say what happened, or maybe we should guess. What do you think happened to Phil Wickham with a pet in 2020?
You will never guess.
My fear is that like the rabbit got rabies and bit a child, and you had to kill it, but then it wasn't really dead, so you had to I'm going dark.
Wow.
I actually did kill a rabbit in 2020, which is a totally different story.
That's not even the 2020 pet story prompt that you did kill a rabbit? Was it with your car?
No.
Does it involve death?
Well, he said he killed a rabbit. Of course it involves death.
Oh, I thought the actual pet story.
No, we're on the rabbit now.
Oh, rabbit now. Okay.
It's a rabbit trail. Get it?
I feel bad about the rabbit. I don't want to.
You don't have to commit that to YouTube. PETA might come after you.
There was a little bit of a rabbit nest going on in our backyard, and spreading some bugs around the area, and so had to take care of. I got a rabbit trap involved. It wasn't fun. I don't want to do it ever again. I'd like those memories to stay hidden, please.
Are the children traumatized?
No, they're not. They saw the rabbit and they thought it was cool because we had a rabbit in a cage for a little bit, but now we don't anymore.
Okay, so what is the horrible 2020 pet story?
Oh no.
Okay, well, it's horrible. It's actually a good ending, but this is crazy. So, it's COVID. We're in California. With everybody got locked down to some extent, but where we were at, it's like we were very locked down, and so we needed a little pep in our step, little something for the kids to play with. So we're like, man, we're getting a dog, and Mallory's been wanting a golden doodle, which is like half golden retriever, half poodle. They're supposed to be like hypoallergenic. I can be allergic to dogs sometimes. So Mallory's looking around. She's like, hey, this breeder in Ocean Beach, or Pacific Beach, which is down 20 minutes south of us, says they have puppies available because they're supposed to send them out, but they can't send them out anymore because planes aren't taking them because of COVID, some story like that. But like, if we go, it's first come, first serve with the puppy. So I go down there to see if I'm allergic. I put my face in this puppy and everything, just fully, and it's a cute little puppy, golden brown, golden doodle. I'm like, okay, this is amazing. Should we get it? And we get it. Take this puppy home. It's awesome. The kids are loving it. She's so sweet, so cute, so small. Then she starts growing up and her hair starts growing out. And it's like, if you like bleached your hair, but you have black hair, it's like that like, stiff of a line, like completely from her amber colored hair to white, like coming out. It looks like she has like bleached tips, but the opposite. And we're like, that's weird. Like, is she just losing her puppy hair or something, And then she turns totally white except for like these amber tips, hair. And then she starts itching a lot, and then it all starts falling out. And she has like these dots all over her skin. She looks like a little piglet. Oh. And then my boy, he wakes up one morning and he's got dots all over his face, on his torso, which we didn't connect the dog to the boy yet. We just thought, it looked crazy. Like, if you see pictures, and we looked it up online, and like the worst possible scenarios come up online, like even like leukemia they can do. And we're like, oh my goodness. So we take him in, and they do a test on his blood. He's all good. So then they like, did you guys get a dog recently? We're like, yeah. And they're like, I think he's got mange. And they're like, what are you talking about, mange? And so anyway, it seems like our dog had a mite infestation, which is mange, and had passed it to my son. And then Mallory, my wife, started getting it all over her legs. And then meanwhile, Mallory's getting these she's been connected from this Facebook group of all these people that have bought a dog from this breeder, and everybody's complaining that their dogs are turning colors and changing, and their hair is falling out, and their families are getting mange. And then fast forward like another month, we get some mange ointment. It goes away. The dog's hair is starting to come back. But it was a dark couple weeks, really tough for Mallory, especially. And so some to find out the group's like, oh my goodness, watch Channel 4 News in an hour. So it's like 4 p.m. Channel 4 News. And we turn it on, and it's an expose of this San Diego breeder. And it's like San Diego breeder, like dupes families all over San Diego with fake golden doodles. And we're like, what in the world? And it's like this breeder. I'm like, hey, that's the lawn I sat on with our dog. And it like goes up to the house. Like, that's the house I went in, And it says like for lease. It's like breeder skips town after like duping like 70 families.
No.
So this breeder was getting poodle mutts from Mexico and dyeing them brown that were mange infested and selling these mutts for $3,000 a piece. And then all these families broke out in mange and had non-golden doodles afterwards. And so by this time we were laughing about it, because it's just you either laugh or cry. Well,
God bless the creative, enterprising hoodlum.
Oh my gosh,
that was our 2020 stories. Like we got conned with a fake dog that had been dyed brown to be some other breed that it wasn't. Got mange, but we got through it, and that dog is so special now. It's like we all went through it together. She loves.
So you still like the dog?
I actually love the dog. Like she's like. Okay, I didn't think I was a dog person, but
she has hair now? She's
got cute white hair. And you know what? We kind of redeemed it a little bit. Mallory's like, I really want a golden doodle still though, the other week. And so we flew up to Sacramento and picked out an actual golden doodle. So we have 2 dogs now, which is wild, but we're a 2-dog family.
That's amazing.
Sam's good. Yeah, but it's kind of super random.
That's
and
horrible.
So 2020.
Oh man, yes.
That is so 2020.
That is 2020. She broke her ankle. I shot a firework in my eye. All the things happened in 2020.
Oh my God.
So glad
I never heard of mange.
Yeah, now you even knew something new to worry about.
I didn't know it was something you can get. Like, I just thought mangy meant like dirty, mangy dog.
A mangy
mange
dog.
The noun. Watch out.
Actually something you can get. Wow.
Now, Phil, as people are listening to this, you're just about to embark on a big tour. It's with Brandon Lake and Pat Barrett. Is that right?
Yeah, I've been doing these for maybe 3 or 4 weekends every fall. I've been doing these weekends called a sing-along tour. And the whole idea, because it's a big part of what I do anyway, is like, me and Brandon and Pat, we're part of tours all the time that are, big lights, sound, band and everything. And so this is like more like the family get together tour, where it's the 3 of us on stage the whole time. There's going to be a piano player there, maybe a stripped down band, but it's really all about like a simple night, the family of God getting together.
Wow.
And these nights it has been my favorite tour of past years. And it's really special, just the camaraderie, the unity, the church or the people there really play a huge role. Cause we even like, don't like blast the music so people can like hear each other singing, It's just all about being together, being the family of God, lifting up the name of Jesus. And the tour's already, there's a couple nights that are sold out and a couple nights that are pretty close. And so if we're coming in anywhere in your area, you can check it out at philwickham.com.
I'm seeing Florida.
Amazing.
And I'm seeing
oh my gosh, that sounds
Illinois
so
and
awesome.
Indiana and Kentucky. Well, that's amazing. Tennessee, North Carolina. So if anyone listening can grab it looks like the website is philwickham.com/tour, get some tickets. And then what's your newest project you have out? It's
called Hymn of Heaven. It came out in, when did it come out? I don't remember. A month ago in June. And it's been so special to watch some of these songs already connecting. We had a song called Battle Belongs that we released at the end of last year that really felt like an anthem for me and my family, my church for that year.
Yeah, you shot a little music video for it in a cathedral, and it was a beautiful music video. Wow. Is that the one I saw?
That you saw, that was the Hymn of Heaven music video. So we did a music video we have Battle Belongs, and then House of the Lord, and then It's Always Been You is out on the beach, and then Hymn of Heaven is in the cathedral. As I list them out, we did 4 music videos before the record even came out. I think I'm just solidifying the idea that I probably work a little too hard, but those 4 music videos, and I've actually got a live video coming out. Well, by the time people hear this, a video with Brandon Lake. It's a live capture of our song that we wrote together called Where I'm Standing Now.
Fun.
Come on. Oh my gosh. Where can people watch that? YouTube?
Yep. YouTube is the place to go.
YouTube is the place to go. Well, Phil Wickham, thank you for being on here. I hope everybody will listen to the new record and join you on tour somewhere around the United States of America. And thanks for being our friend. Thanks for being a beautiful human being.
We love you and your whole family.
Love you guys too. Thanks for having me on. And we look forward to being up there with y'all.
Next time we'll do a live episode with Mallory and we'll go fly fishing afterwards. Or maybe before, so we can have anecdotes for the episode there.
Oh, yes.
Gotta have anecdotes.
Well, so you guys just send us some Airbnb options. Tell us where we should look for Airbnbs or whatever. You guys don't have to worry. We'll figure out our own way out. But we'll just surprise you one day at church and take you out to lunch or something. So you guys it's not like you guys are hosting us. You don't have to worry about it.
It's a date.
Okay,
Done.
sounds
We're
good.
in.
All right.
We're here for it.
Thank you so much for listening. And be sure to swing by levilusko.com to see what's going on in our world, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. In the meantime, we would love to connect with you on social media. Jennie and Levi Lusko, out.